responsibilities of leadership. And, Eric, it's just like when they was building this plant down here. One day I went by and them boys was out there hustling. And there was 2 superintendents. And they was out riding around in the side-by-side. The boys was hooked up working. The superintendents rode down to the creek and was messing around. And that's not leadership. That's bosses. The thing is that, it's just like I told Tommy Robinson yesterday. We were sitting out here, and Jacob and Lance was up there hooked up, and AJ was out there. And I was like, I can't do this from the ground. And I said, this is not going to work. I got to get up there and get to work. And I can't, I'm not one of them kind of people. I'm going to be involved in it. And it's basically is leadership. And we're going to move off of this. But basically, if you're leadership, by God, lead. Lead. Get there right in the middle of it. And the thing is that here's the downside of leadership. You have a position. And you have to remember that if you're in leadership, and if you ever had any spiritual inclination, in other words, there are people in leadership who quite obviously have never had any kind of dealings with God. But see, once you, and we're going to talk about this here in a second, but once you make this contract with God and you accept Christ as your salvation, realize you've signed a contract. Covenant. You have made a covenant with the great Creator.
Right.
Does God go back on his covenants? You break them. God doesn't.
Right.
And do you expect God to keep up with his covenant with you? I think we all expect God to keep up with our covenants. We all expect God. I mean, you name me one person who's not in trouble that's ever had any kind of inclination of God and that does not call on God and have some kind of expectations of God. Then what is God allowed to expect from us?
Right.
Think about it. What is God allowed to expect from us? Name me one man and woman who have entered into a marriage relationship that is truly trying to do the right thing. And I know there's all kinds of weird people who do all kinds of weird things, and that's their business. I ain't worried about that. What I'm talking about, if you're a Christian and you've entered into a marriage relationship, does the wife have a contractual right to expect certain behaviors from her husband?
Of course.
Absolutely. Does a husband have a contractual relationship and a right to expect from his wife?
Yep.
Absolutely. So the thing is that this contract is between 2 people. We've done a contract with God. If you are going to be a parent, is your relationship, let me rephrase this. If you are a parent, is your obligation more binding? Is your rights and responsibilities more so when you have children?
Right.
Yeah. When you start having kids, think about it. Carrie, before you had a dog, got a new dog, you didn't have a dog. Now you've got a responsibility. You've got this thing, and the closer and tighter you bond to this thing, when the dog wants to get up and you don't want to go outside, you get up, don't you? Mm-hmm. You have a responsibility. You have a responsibility as well if you are a parent to honestly discipline your children. You have it. The Bible says that if you don't discipline your children, you don't love your kids.
That's right.
That's the truth. So the thing is that as a leadership and as church leadership, you have a higher level of obligation. You have a higher level of commitment. You have a higher level of expectations. you have a higher standard by which you're judged. Eric, as a superintendent, a supervisor, are you held to higher standards?
Definitely.
What about when you're belonging to a bigger and stronger company? Is it different than from you as... No, think about this thing. I know what I'm saying. Hear me out what I'm saying. If you're working for Bubba's Concrete, okay? Or should I say Comeback Concrete? Because I know I love that name because it's Comeback. I never understood that because in the body shop business, a comeback is where you did a bad job. It's got to come back. You got to come back and get it fixed. So I've always said that's kind of a terrible name.
I know where it come from, though.
Huh?
I know where it come from.
But you understand what I'm saying is that if you're working for just some insignificant company, but all of a sudden now you're working for a bigger company, you've got to maintain that image of that company, don't you?
Yes, sir.
And you got a higher standard, and the more you advance, you've got this higher standard.
Oh, absolutely.
How much higher of a standard then is it as leadership if you're working for God? Because there's nothing higher than God. So then if God is the supreme and you've made a contract with the supreme, what other contracts supersede that contract?
None.
Nothing. What about if you've made a commitment, say, well, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to start doing that, and does God expect you to continue your obligations? Think about it. Again, going back on Eric. You know, Eric, they've given you this position. They've trusted you with this authority. What would happen if you decide, well, I just don't want to do this no more?
I wouldn't be there long.
You wouldn't be there long, would you? And the thing is that, you know, would you ever have the ability to look around and go, okay, well, I don't want to do this no more, and I don't want to do that no more. I'm just going to do this, and then all of a sudden when everything falls apart, because I've seen it happen so many times with guys in the body shop business. And I speak of the body shop business because that's what I was raised in. But a body man will make X amount of hours per the day, but all of a sudden somebody will come up, David, and they'll say, hey man, can you do this for my car? Well, sure, I can do that. And all of a sudden, you make this side money on this side job. I remember one time I told Lance was a young man, Kerry. Do you remember that one job that him and Billy did together, and they made that stupid money that one time? And I said, Lance, understand something. Making stupid money is okay, but don't keep expecting to make stupid money. Because that is a one-off chance or time where you get to make that money. But if you start expecting to make that stupid money, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Exactly.
And I remember talking to Lance about that. And it was a thing that you try to say it, but these body men, I've seen them, and they get these little side jobs, and they'll make more money in one day on a side job than what they would make all week long.
Right.
Well, before long, what are you instantly thinking?
I'm trying to quit
Well,
my
heck,
regular job.
I can quit my side, I can quit my day job, I can start working on the side. That sounds great until the side jobs run out. Then what do? Do you go back to your company, Eric, and say, well, you know, hey man, you know, you remember me? They said, well, yeah, I remember you. You're the guy who left us. Well, I was kind of hoping I could just start back with you guys. Sure, we'll hire you back. Okay, I'll be ready to supervise tomorrow. No, we're not going to hire you back as you was, because what did you do? You left us. And once you leave that, think about it. You're in a marriage relationship. You're in a dating relationship, whatever crap you want to call it. Emily, if Lance decides that he needs a break from you for a while.
I think it's the other way around.
But seriously, you hear this reaction and everybody has this thing. We know instantly. If that is not tolerated here on earth, if God is the supreme being and God says, I am a what kind of God?
Jealous.
Jealous God? And God is the king of jealousy? What the mess do you think that God is going to sit back and go, it's okay, come on back in?
Yeah,
Do y'all think that God thinks that way?
No.
Apparently some of us do. Apparently most of the time I do. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I can sit up here and I can put all this stuff out, and then within a day I'm out there and I might lose my temper. I might say something. My eyes might stray, Dory. I might say something wrong, or I might want to be cheaty about something. Is that exemplification of behavior of a person that is a Christian? Absolutely not. But yet somewhere along the lines, because again, tomorrow somebody is going to start telling a dirty joke. And then what do? We want to sit and listen and laugh at the dirty joke. Did you know that the Bible says have nothing to do with coarse jesting? What is coarse jesting? Jesting is a joke. Coarse is filthy. And the Bible says specifically, Dory, don't have anything to do with it. So then what if the Bible, if it's actually true and it tells us not to do this and yet we're doing that? What does that say? The Bible says that if a man can't control his tongue, he has no religion. What does that mean? You have to understand this principle. And if we can't get a hold of this now, when will we get a hold of it?
Never.
How many people have y'all ever heard say this? Well, when I die, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to be like that thief on the cross, and I'm going to beg God to forgive me, and maybe I can square. I've heard people say it. Y'all have heard people talk about that. Do y'all think that that's really going to fly? So the thing is that if you start doing something, what terrifies me is if when we shut the church down, it wasn't the fact that we was shut down that terrified me. What terrified me is, where would God find me? I remember, I've told y'all the story about me tearing out that sewer at that retreat in Arizona.
You're going to take me now.
This was the perfect time. It wouldn't have bothered me yesterday, Lance, if I would have fallen off the roof and broke my neck. It wouldn't have bothered me. The thing is, if I broke my neck and died right then, guess what? Heck yeah.
I'm out of here.
Because I'd much rather die like that than saying a cuss word because I just stuck my finger in 220 volt and saying a cuss word and scream and holler because I just said something wrong to somebody else, and bam, zapped me right then, doing my stuff, doing my job.
He'll account for that time.
Yeah. The thing is that I want to be found when all this stuff is over with. And I'll tell you something that I hold on to. Why I'm here every Sunday is because here's the deal. Honestly, I don't want to be here every Sunday. I'll tell you, I don't want to be here every Sunday. You know where I would like to be at today? I would love today, after this week, I would love to be somewhere else. I'll be honest with you, I don't want to see this church today. But what if this today is my last day?
That's right.
We've got Amber's aunt. She has been spending her time in her life grieving over a son who's made bad choices. And his son's bad choices had ended him up in a bad place, and now he's gone. His mother has grieved over this. His mother was pulling out, I think it's on 65, wasn't it, Bailey? Grieving. She's grieved for how long, Bailey? For a year. She's grieved over the loss of her son. Terrible grief. Pulled out, and 2 kids were in a race on 65. Am I wrong, Bailey? They were in a race. They hit her. How much wrong? Broke back, broke everything. Am I wrong, Bailey? I mean, colon, head, everything. And she's probably never, and I asked God, I was like, God, why? Why? Choices. Choices. She didn't know that this may be her last words. What were her last words? Where was she at? What was she feeling in that last moment? Can you imagine going out and your last moment is focused upon grief and questioning God? She didn't know that just the other day might be her last day. Lance, when you're driving down the road, you're minding your own business, doing your own thing, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you look up and you're in that big old crane and you're off the road. How quick was that? Eric, how many miles do you spend every day on the road?
Couple hundred.
How quick is this bullcrap going to end and can end?
80 seconds.
And yet every day we're going to sit out there and roll the dice and then we're basing the assumption that God is just going to, at the end of all this, go, it's okay. If you made a deal with God and you said you would do something, by gosh, you better do it. Because you expect God to do His promise, don't you? So then, we've been talking about leadership. We've been talking about what leadership should do. And if you're in church leadership and you've made that commitment, you better be leading. You better be found doing this thing.
Amen.
Because if you're not found doing this thing, I can imagine me. Can you imagine this, Dory? I take off and I go up to the mountains. And I had been up to the mountains on deer season. And I thought, man, God, come on. I remember Bailey had a program one day. And I said, God, I'll make you a deal.
Ooh, I love it.
If I could just kill this big buck, I could make it on time for Bailey's program. I can hear God going, what?
He should have sent you a bear.
He might send you a bear.
He might.
So, the thing is that what we're going to talk about is what is your responsibility? What is your responsibility? What is your responsibility? Does it say that you got to go to church? Huh? What? Does it say that you got to go to church in the Bible?
Forsake not the assembly.
What does that mean?
Just what it said.
Forsake not it. And especially as you see the day approaching. What is he talking about? The day.
Into your life.
It's not necessarily the end of your life that he's talking about. You know what he's talking about?
The Bible
coming.
being played out.
The coming.
Right. Being
If
played
you
out.
are walking around and you are seeing these things unwinding, did anybody see time unwinding right now?
Oh, yeah.
And some-
Yeah.
Every day.
I'm telling you, it's unwinding. And if you see time unwinding, what the crap should you be focusing on? Playing bingo tomorrow night? Retirement? Well, yeah. It's okay to focus on these things. You should have an eye on retirement. Old man told me to plan as if you're going to live for 75 more years, but plan on dying tomorrow.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Because if you keep your eyes on both of them, then where's your priority? So now we're going to talk about this thing. So we're going to play a game. It's called Colossians 3. We're going to play a game called, what do you see?
What do you see in Colossians 3?
Colossians 3, whatever I try to say. So Colossians 3. The game is, what do you see? As I'm reading this thing, and as a part stands out at you, I'm going to show you what I seen just starting. And these are things that if leadership, and we all expect leadership to do this. Can you imagine, Lance, if Artie, AJ, Jacob, and yourself, Tommy Robinson, had not showed up? Can you imagine if you took us out of the picture? Women, I know it's Mother's Day, but who would have put the roof on? Huh?
Helps.
Helps?
Helps.
The thing is that Tommy Robinson said the very valid point. He says, Monty, he says, do you know how much this roof would cost if you hired it done? And guess what? We ain't got the money as a church. So the thing is that you have an obligation. You have an obligation. The Bible talks about this thing is if you want to know why your life is screwed up, here's why your life is screwed up. Because you focused upon your life and your world and your home, but what have you done for my home?